Hi, everybody. Tara Boston-Kimber here, founder of Simplify Your Existence, life and relationship coach, and your host for this Making Spirituality Tangible Summit. So, with me today, I have Susan Bratton. Susan is CEO and founder of Personal Life Media. She is also an intimacy expert. Susan publishes relationship and sex advice designed to empower men and women. And today, we're going to focus our conversation on deepening that spiritual connection in relationships and with couples. So, Susan, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really, really excited to have you.
Tara, I am so glad you found me because one of the things that's so important to me is the spirituality of our sexuality. I'm a sex expert. I publish content that helps people have better communication skills and better techniques so that they can have passionate lovemaking. Like I stand for passionate lovemaking. And
Mm-hmm.
the thing is that I actually have spirituality as kind of like a Trojan horse in my business.
Awesome.
Not everybody is ready to hear about spirituality that is not specifically around their religion. And so I can't call a lot of the things that I do, orgasmic meditation or spiritual sex. But in fact, that's exactly the kind of things that we teach at Personal Life Media. So the opportunity to be able to talk about spirituality and sexuality in a single conversation is really kind of soul nourishing for me, in
Yeah.
all honesty, because for
Yeah.
me, my sex is spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm psyched to have you create an audience of
Yeah.
men and women
Mhm.
who want to have connection to source, connection to God, connection to each other, connection to one through the sexual path, because there are so many ways to get to spirituality, and I am a firm believer and a proof point that sex and spirit are connected.
Yeah, and I feel it seems like such a taboo thing too. Like you said, that there's not a lot of conversations around this. There's not a lot of conversations around spirituality and sex. And it's really awesome to come into contact with somebody who is willing to go there
Yeah.
and willing to have that conversation and willing to put out publications focused on this connection between the two. So,
Oh, I
yeah.
like to put out.
Right.
Now you know we're going to have tons of double
Right.
entendres in this whole conversation, or it's just not going to be any fun. So,
Right.
yeah, we're going to put it
Right.
out, definitely.
Okay, so Susan, can you tell a little bit about how you got here? So maybe like a brief bio about yourself. I know you talked about your work,
Yeah,
how you got to this point,
yeah,
if you don't mind.
yeah, I would love to. So, I actually run a really awesome company with my husband. He runs all the technology, the infrastructure, etc., and I do the content. And we have like 20 home study courses that are all about sex. A couple of the ones that I'm going to talk about today, one of the core ones is called Expand Her Orgasm Tonight, which is our version of orgasmic meditation.
Mhm.
My very first connection to source, the first time I realized and actually palpably felt that there was something greater that was taking care of me, that was the law of nature, that was our connection to all living things, to Gaia, to each other, was when I was having an orgasm.
Mhm.
My husband and I have had an expanded orgasm practice for going on 10 years. I'm going to explain what
Gosh.
it is. But essentially, you get into a theta trance state. When you're in meditation, you're in a theta brainwave state. You're in a trance state. And that allows you to leave the world behind and connect into that feeling of being held by a higher and more loving power.
Mhm.
And you get in that same theta brainwave state through orgasm. And Expand Her Orgasm Tonight is a program where it's an online home study course with
Mhm.
21 erotic play dates that lets you together as a couple
Right.
learn this clitoral stroking technique that do you know how when you get your clitoris overstimulated and you're like, ooh, I'm done and it hurts and I don't want any more? Well, what that does, this particular stroking pattern and technique allows you to not get that feeling and to be able to take that moment of climax and stretch it like taffy so that you essentially have this like
Nice.
really long orgasm. And not only that, but you can take that one and add another and kind of stair step your orgasmic pleasure so that it keeps getting more intense, more melty, more rich, and longer. And what happens when you end up getting into those really kind of extended or expanded orgasmic states,
Hmm.
you at some point go out into a meditative
Hmm.
state. And what's super cool about it is it's actually a conjoined trance state. You and your partner, my husband and I, are in that. He's taking me on the ride. I'm going on his ride. And we're together in this like completely connected place. Just like a breathwork practice or a mantra takes everything away except that and allows you to get that feeling of spiritual connection. Orgasmic meditation or this expanded orgasm practice does the same thing.
Hmm.
And I remember when I was like starting to go to that place, I asked my girlfriend, Dr. Patty Taylor, who actually wrote our program for us. She's one of the world's leaders in this expanded orgasmic
Oh,
practice. I said to her, okay, I'm really scared because I'm like out in this place where it's almost like I'm at the edge of this dark cliff in my orgasm, where if I really let myself go, I don't know what's going to happen. Am I going to lose myself? Am I going to like come so much I'll never get back?
right,
Like I
right.
was really scared of
That's
it,
like losing total control. Yes.
losing total
Yes.
control. And she said, "Don't worry, let go. Go ahead. You'll be fine." And I trusted her so much that I let go, and that was when I first felt that connection. I had tried, sitting meditations and breathwork meditations, etc. Once I was able to get to that place of connection to source, I was able to then find it in sitting meditation. I do a hatha yoga meditation, so
Oh, yeah.
I like the postures and the mudras combined with the breath work
Hmm.
to also have a spiritual practice. So I have a number of spiritual practices
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
but that was my path to source was my
That's
orgasm.
wild. Hmm.
And it's available to everyone, and it is another modality. Whether you're a whirling dervish and you're, turboing yourself into a state of meditative connection, or you're coming. I personally like the coming.
It's my cup of tea.
Exactly. And so when my husband and I had this breakthrough experience, it was because we had really gotten disconnected intimately in our marriage. We were kind of like living parallel lives, raising our child, doing our careers, like so many couples, and we'd gotten disconnected. And expanded orgasm brought us back together, turned our sex life back on, and made us an incredibly intimate couple. And that's why we decided to start Personal Life Media. It was
That's awesome.
actually that experience, that spiritual like awakening
Hmm.
and the rekindling of our passion. And we've never looked back. I mean, we wanted to bring this to the world. And now we have 20 products. We have 100,000 people who follow us. We get 250,000 or more visitors to our website every month. Our business is doubling year over year. We're more in love than we've ever been. It's really interesting. Let me grab, this is funny.
Do it.
I
Yeah.
just asked all of our email customers and prospects, what's the one word you'd use to describe Personal Life Media? And after about 1,500 responses, I gave up counting. But this is like my little like hash sheet of what they all
Oh,
said, and I put like hash marks, because I would get these duplicate words. People would use the
right,
same word,
right.
and the words that came out as the top two were informative or educational. That was kind of like the big chunk, equal with enlightening and inspirational, enlightenment
That's
and
awesome.
education. And
Hmm.
so just the fact that my customers can respond. These are like everyday people. These are people who really, most do not have a spiritual practice. They're more in the line of traditional religion.
Hmm.
They're from all over the world. And because of this work that we've done with expanded orgasm and the way we do heart-connected, soulful sexual education,
Yeah, yeah.
they equally said that it was enlightenment and education. I was like, oh my
That's
God,
amazing. Yeah.
my work is working.
Your
Like my
work is
mission is occurring in the bodies and the minds of people all over the world. I'm humbled, I'm honored, I'm thrilled. And now I'm getting calls from beautiful women like you who are like, tell me more about
this
spiritual,
message.
sexual connection.
Yes.
And I'm like, let's go.
Let's talk about sex. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a
That's
little bit of
so
my
awesome.
story.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, you're speaking to, I don't know, you already said like you also feel spiritual and connected in these other ways. And it's not like,
Yeah.
I like what you're saying that sex is just another modality. It's another tool. It's another way of experiencing this connection and
Definitely.
one that creates more intimacy with the person that you're with,
Yeah.
whoever that is, which is really awesome.
Thank you.
So, what about? I want to talk about the three simple practices
Sure.
that generate that spiritual
Yeah.
connection in couples. So, if we can break it down for people, that would be, even better.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So when you ask me to talk more about the spiritual practice, what I could bring to people that would be, a way of considering spirituality and connection to each other, in a relationship.
Mhm.
There are three things that I think make the biggest impact. One of them, and I'm going to break all of these down, but I'll just tell you them right off the bat. One is something that I call relationship values. The second thing is something I call making small offers. And the third thing is this expanded orgasm, these ecstatic, rapturous states of orgasmic connection, expanded orgasm. So those are the three: relationship values, small offers, and expanded orgasm. And now, ready to talk about any one of those that you'd like to in any order.
Yeah, can we start with number one? I'd like to talk about the values.
Okay.
I'm fine going in order if you are, and
I
kind
am
of building up to
fine.
the orgasm,
I
right?
am fine to do it any way you want. So yeah, relationship values. So I wrote this little book. I have one back here. This is actually, it's really a downloadable workbook. This is called Relationship Magic. And I wrote this because this was one of the other pivotal things that made my relationship with my husband off the charts awesome. I like to feel deeply supported and intimately connected in my relationship, as we all do. And one of the things that occurred for us was that we realized early in our relationship that we were treating our partner the way we wanted to be treated. Instead of, do you ever hear the golden rule? Do unto
Yes.
others as you want them to do unto you. Well, that's what we were doing because that just makes sense.
Right.
When we realized it's actually the platinum rule that works in relationships, which is treat your partner the way they want to be treated and
Yeah.
have them treat you the way you want to be treated. The reason
Yes.
that you're in a relationship, it's totally different than your partner. They're in it for a set of feelings they want to feel, and you're in it for a set of feelings you want to feel. And they're very different. We're men and women, or we're masculine, feminine, and we have different experiences, and we grew up differently, and we've watched different movies, and all those things. And
Yes.
so, what relationship magic really is, and I'll make sure that you have a link for this so that
Yes.
everything that I talk about, and I've got some free things to give your viewers. Everything that I talk about, I'll make sure that there's a link to it, so you don't have to worry. Oh God, need to go Google this right now. Just stay with us right here, and we'll give you we're going to give you so much.
Glad you're
Just
saying that.
no
Yes.
problem at all.
Stay
Sarah and I
here.
have this all worked out, right?
Yes. We have your back. Stay here. Yes.
So, what relationship magic really does is it's this little workbook, and it helps you really do this like deep soul search to understand what it is that you most want out of a relationship. Let me give you some examples. I like to be totally taken care of. And I really want my husband to, like, I'm not good with money. I like to earn money, but I don't like to do the bills. I want him to take care of me, security. I want to have a home. I want to have a burglar alarm. I like him to get my car door for me. I like him to, like, take care of me in that way. I like to sit on his lap. I like to have good health insurance. For me, those are the things that represent security. And he knows that, so he never misses a payment. He
Mm.
takes care of our business for us in that way. I'm very well taken care of in the security needs that I have. But I'm
Mhm.
also a real extrovert, and my husband is more of an introvert.
Oh,
So
me too.
and it
Yeah,
works
it
because
does.
I like to go out sometimes and he doesn't necessarily want to go and he never holds me back. He lets me live my life and do what I want to do without
Yes.
any jealousy. And for him, his top relationship value is passion. He doesn't want to be in a relationship with a woman who isn't passionately in love with him, which is why our marriage went on the rocks early on because we didn't have enough education. And
Yeah.
that's why we got into sex ed, sexy sex ed, spiritual
Sexy
sex ed.
sex.
And he wants passion, but for him, passion isn't just intercourse every day or
Right.
whatever. It's actually, he wants me to sit on his lap. He wants me to stroke his hair. He wants me to grab his butt when he walks by. He wants me to wear sexy lingerie for him and high heels and be very feminine. And I'm a feminine feminist, you know,
Right.
and there's a range, and that's a good range for me. And so passion is number one for him, and honesty is number two for him. Honesty is right on my list as well. He does not want me to sugarcoat anything. That guy can handle anything, and he wants to know the truth, no matter even if it makes me, you know, often the truth is, the hardest thing about telling the truth is that we're, you know, I don't know, we have like our own personal, you know, needs, greed, lack of confidence, you know, whatever they are that don't make us look very good. But he
Right.
loves me and he just wants to know exactly what I'm thinking at all times. So what happens is once you understand what your partner's top relationship needs are and you understand theirs, then instead of getting up every day and treating them the way you want to be treated, you treat them the way they want to be treated. That creates a level of intimacy and connection and a feeling of being in the relationship that's perfect for you that no measure of we're compatible can get you to.
Mhm.
And so it is actually, in my way, a spiritual practice to treat people the way that they want to be treated. So I do a lot of what's called values elicitation with my friends and with my husband. And I just want to know, like, how do you want to, what's important to you? Like for me, with my
Right.
girlfriends, loyalty. They have to have my back.
Right.
I really love them to just make sure that they're always like watching out for my safety and it's my security need
Mhm.
showing up in a different way.
Right.
And
Right.
so relationship values are really easy to figure out. They tend to remain pretty static throughout your life, but they do change over time. One of your values might be, you know, your family value might be really important in some parts of your life. And then as your kids go off to college, you know, it might be something else. So values can change, but not a lot. Once
Okay.
you're really clear on what it is you want and you can communicate the specifics of that to your partner, your relationship just gets so much better with each other. You feel so nourished and fed by them. So I'm extremely proud of that little workbook. It is the most powerful thing we offer in our business, and it's a little $10 downloadable ebook
That's awesome.
because it's the foundation of everything else. If you don't feel supported in your relationship at that level, how are you going to have hot connected sex? You
Right.
can't. You have to start with the trust and surrender that comes from being met, your needs being met in your relationship. And so a lot of guys have come to me over the years looking for, you know, how do I make my woman have multiple orgasms? You know, she's really struggling. And I'm like, well, there could be something fundamentally broken in your relationship. Like her needs may not be getting met, which means you're never going to give her multiple orgasms because she's pissed because she's not getting something she needs. So start with this. I have a program called Revive Her Drive, and this book came out of that because guys were trying to like, my wife's libido's broken. I'm like, actually, it may not be. She might just not be getting her needs met. Try this first.
Mhm.
So that is a very powerful, very simple, what I consider to be spiritual practice of getting up every day and feeding my partner the way they want to be fed.
Yes. And it's not about, I'm glad that you're saying this, and I don't, it's not about like molding, it's not about being somebody that you're not. It's about doing something out of love. Like I want you to have the best experience. I want to give to you in a way that you can receive it.
Yeah.
That's significant, I think, because I just wonder if some resistance around that would be, I'm not going to change just because of blah, blah, blah. But it's not about that. Like, it's about giving to somebody in a way, like I said, that they can actually receive it
Yeah.
in a way that, like, goes straight in, you know, instead of it's filtered through all this stuff.
Right.
So that sounds like a really amazing little workbook. Side note.
Thank you.
So What about step two? Because I know that that's a lot of step one is figuring out the main values in a relationship and kind of speaking to your partner in that way versus the way you receive. If that makes sense.
Yes,
Yeah.
and really, really understanding what it is they care most about and spending your time focusing on that.
Okay.
It's the 80-20 rule. You're going to get 90% of the way with 10% of the effort once you know exactly what they want and you just give it to them. Like, it takes all the number one thing guys say is like, I try to guess what she wants and I have no idea and she can't tell me. Well, here's a little workbook that helps you figure out exactly what you want so you can tell each other. It just gets you clear on what it is that's most important.
Yes.
So the second thing is something called small offers. One of the things that I wanted to be able to do was to teach people how to seduce each other. Seduction can have a bad name. It can have a bad rap. A lot of people think that when you seduce someone, you're manipulating them. But seduction is actually, if you look at what seduction is, it's moving your partner toward more pleasure. That's what seduction is. And when you do that, when you're focused on bringing more joy and pleasure into your partner's life, everything changes. And usually what happens in the sexual sphere, especially with men, is that they say something like, hey, maybe we should have sex tonight. And the woman is like, no, like I'm doing shit. I'm busy. Like it's way too big an offer for a woman. Erotic escalation is a slow ramp up. Foreplay takes us from, getting home and kicking off our shoes and throwing down our keys and going, oi, what are we going to have for dinner, right? You're not ready to make love. But the more love you can make, the more connection you can have, the deeper your intimacy and your connection to each other is. So teaching couples, and especially men who are a little more goal-oriented and a little faster to move toward sex in general.
Yeah.
Everything's a generalization. All couples are different. There are many couples for whom the woman is has the stronger drive.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, it's understanding how to give your partner this menu of small offers. Now, this comes from our program called the Seduction Trilogy. And it's 3 books. It's called Seduce Her Tonight, The Seduction Accelerator, and Be Her Sexual Trainer. Because you're always training each other as partners. You're
Yeah.
always, whatever you do, you're training your partner with everything you do. It's just that by not actively teaching your partner what you desire, you're teaching them, you're not giving them enough information to do a good job. So
Yep.
what small offers do is they teach you how to run your partner a menu. So you get home and your partner says, oh, babe, it's so great to see you. Would you like to snuggle on the couch for 10 minutes and figure out what we're going to do for dinner? Would you like to lie down in the bed and I'll give you a neck massage or a foot massage? Or would you like me to get you a glass of Chardonnay?
Oh, that'd be nice.
And right, Tara, you're like, can I please have all 3?
Right.
Could,
Chardonnay in bed
could you
after
give
we
me one of
snuggle.
those hats with the Chardonnay just like in the little straw while you massage my neck and my feet simultaneously?
It's awesome. Yes.
So, what do we love? Do we love an offer or do we love a menu? We love a menu. Do we love a selection of one thing or do we love a selection of 3 things? We love a selection of 3 things. And so when your partner and you can really be present enough with each other, which is a spiritual practice of mindfulness,
Yeah.
when you drop into really paying attention to what's going on in that moment, getting in your partner's world, and you draw from your reservoir of things you think your partner might like and make offers that are right-sized for where she or he is in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
and you give them a couple of different options, suddenly you're getting a bunch of yeses instead of a no. And then you just build on those yeses. Okay, now you've had dinner. Baby, would you like to go lie down on the couch and I'll give you a breast massage while we watch, House of Cards? Or would you, and you just start running a menu and run another menu that's a little bit juicier. And your sex life starts to take off. And so that's called running a menu of small offers.
I love that.
I explain more about that in a free ebook I have for all of you called More Sex More Often, and I'll make sure you get a link to that too. That's a free download. So Yeah,
That's great.
it's one of those, like, I call them little hinges that swing big doors. It's a
Yeah.
little tiny thing you can do that makes a giant improvement in your relationship, just like the relationship values do.
hmm And even right now, I mean, what you're talking about, I'm thinking like, oh, like that's really about connection. It is. It's about seeing your partner, like being present fully. Where are you at, and how can I help, and what can I do? And like being there for your partner and allowing him or her to have, I don't know, giving them the choices. I mean, all this stuff is like, yeah, like you said, like even the spiritual practice of present moment, like mindfulness. That's really standing out to me right now. So
Well, you
I love
asked me to tell you how to feel deeply connected in relationship.
yes.
That's our
This is
topic
it.
today, and those two things really do.
Yes. And you can even see that as you're talking, it's like coming to life for me.
Good.
So, what about the expanded orgasm? Because I'm sure this is what people are most looking forward to hearing about. So,
Yeah.
let me know more about the third piece.
Okay, so here are some things about expanded orgasm. It's a genital massage technique. It's actually it's one little fingertip. Let's just say it's a man and a woman. It could be a woman and a woman. You know, it can be either. And there's also expanded orgasm for men, which is more like a hand job, if you will. But let's just talk about the monogamous couple. Use that as the basis. Do you ever, you know how when you get an eyelash on your eyeball and you just like touch it really lightly and you get it off?
hmm
That's essentially the stroke on the clitoris.
Oh,
And it is a genital massage. So what happens is you have a practice, and there's three opening strokes. There's certain places to touch and do this. There's certain ways to do that stroke. It's all, we teach all of those things, but essentially what you're doing is you're lying down with your partner. You're butterflying your legs open. You're supporting them with pillows. He's sitting in a certain position that works well for your body dynamics. And then he is using lube, your favorite kind, organic coconut oil. I like organic avocado oil. I don't like to use chemicals on my yoni. And
hmm
don't think anybody should. And so then he is starting up this stroking pattern and using these stroking techniques. And you, as the woman, are just receiving. He's running the show. This creates a masculine feminine polarity. It is not required for you to make any sound, to move, to do anything. Literally at first you're making a lot more sounds because you're working on your biofeedback so that as two partners you get into this conjoined trance state. He
hmm
starts to be able to stroke you and give you the orgasms. It takes a little practice. It's a technique that takes some,
right,
but it's
right,
really fun practice.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not the worst thing in the world to learn. You know what I'm talking about? So what happens is he's taking you on the ride, which is what women want. The number one question women ask me is, how do I get my man to take the lead in the bedroom?
Mm.
Well, this is a great practice for that because it teaches you to fully receive. It teaches him to take you on this orgasmic journey. It's a closed container where it's a separate practice than your lovemaking and your sexing. And so after you're done, it is not implicit that you're going to have sex. It is a meditative, orgasmic, conjoined experience. Now, you can have all the sex you want afterward, but
Right.
it's not the kind of thing where if he does you, you have to do him. The whole idea is to move away from that model of quid pro quo and to
Yeah.
move into the model of him giving and you receiving in this orgasmic state. Once you start to do this, I mean, right now 9 years into my practice, we have such a subtle connection that I literally lie there in a meditative trance state. I'm out into source, And my husband can tell exactly how much orgasm, how much I'm coming. I'm coming the whole time. And he can tell. And often I'm not even making any sound or movement at all. But we're so tethered together. Essentially, what we've done is we've meshed our limbic systems.
Right.
Like Avatar, where they plug the braid into the bird.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what you're doing. It's so freaking hot. It is such a, like literally right now, I'm just getting goosebumps. I literally just got goosebumps thinking about jacking into my husband's nervous system. I mean, it is just really, and then that just spills over into your intercourse, your oral, your kissing, because all of a sudden you two can just go, you know, and you're like,
Into each other.
you're just like one. And then not only are you one, you're like into all of one, you know? You too have entered into this place where you feel connection to all other people. And then all this compassion pours down into you for everybody else in the world. You drop and ground, you're grounded. Once you've gotten the shit cummed out of you, once you've just laid there and come and come and come, you enter into a feeling of being a goddess connected, deeply taprooted into the earth. Your confidence increases. Your nervous system calms down. You have a level of resilience and resourcefulness that you never had prior to a practice like this. It's very similar to the feelings you get when you meditate, where, oh, Gaia has me, Source has me. And when you can do that with another partner, that's some high level spirituality I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes.
So it is extremely transformative. And then, of course, moving from there, it awakens your yoni. It like all your nerves just start to the intensity of your orgasms, how much your whole body is orgasming, the full
Yeah.
body orgasmic feelings you have, the ability to have orgasms from being stroked, your breasts, your lips, you know, your perineal sponge, your G spot, all of this stuff just starts to like light up because you're getting engorged. And engorgement is like, you know how when a man is flaccid, his penis feels good to him. But when it's erect, it feels even better because he's got all that blood in the
Right.
erectile tissue. Your yoni is exactly the same. It's just all up inside there. Not even all, it's on the outside and all up inside, right? And so now we're seeing a lot more images of the clitoral structure and how it's this, you know, giant thing that goes up inside us. Well, all of that plus more is erectile tissue that gets stroked into pleasure by the expanded orgasm practice, such that for many women, the first time they ever are able to have orgasms from intercourse come from having this expanded orgasm practice that
Oh,
has really gotten them going. So
yeah.
it's like a domino effect. For when you first start having those expanded orgasms, then you start coming in a whole bunch of different ways because you're finally slowing down to the point where all the attention is on your pleasure. And here's the thing about guys. They love to give women pleasure. They love to give you all these orgasms. So by receiving and allowing them to get good at giving them to you, you become this much more turned on woman. And the thing about turn on, arousal is vitality. It is life force. It is your creativity. They're just different words for the same thing. So
Right.
once you start coming really well from a practice like this, and you feel this support of this man who loves to do this for you, and then you start to have all this orgasmic pleasure, and then it just seeps over into your life in so many ways. You just get juiced up, and it affects your creativity in every
Yeah.
way throughout your life. So, oh man, I mean, a couple who has this kind of spiritual practice, you know, they are getting their needs met in so many ways from
So
something
many
like this.
ways. Yes. Yeah, it's not just in the bedroom. You're seeing it spills over everywhere, that it starts even everywhere else and just kind of spills over here,
Yeah.
that it's all interconnected.
Exactly. So I have 3 free pleasure reports for you. I'll
Awesome.
make sure that you have a link for that. There's one that's called the pleasure of peaking. And peaking is actually the little technique that allows you to keep coming and coming and coming and getting it better and better, because what you actually are doing is you're giving her a little break, and she reaches for more pleasure. And in the reaching for more pleasure, in that moment of that break, she actually, when you start to give her the stroke again, it actually feels even better. We
Mm-hmm.
teach touching for rapture, which is, have you ever had a guy who he's making love to you, and he's like doing things to you? He's like, I'm going to stroke your clit this way, or I'm going to do the alphabet with my tongue, or like he's focused on the technique, and you're
Mm-hmm.
not getting off.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not just letting himself surrender to the pleasure of feeling your body or getting off on touching you. He's touching you for effect, to
Yes.
make you come, rather than touching you for rapture, which is
Mm.
turning him on, turning you on. You're feeling him, feeling you. It's like it just spirals up. So
Yeah.
that's the second book. And the third book is just, what is expanded orgasm? Like, how is it different than a regular orgasm? Because for women, we've been caught in this mindset of having an orgasm like a guy. You know, a guy gets hard and
Oh,
he ejaculates, and that's his orgasm. So we
right.
think, okay, we're just going to have an orgasm.
And we're
Well,
done.
an orgasm. Dude, if I had one orgasm, I'd be like, oh, what? What? I need like 43 more, you
Wait,
know?
that's it? Are we
Yeah.
done?
So it's moving from the mentality, the male mentality of what orgasm is, to the female potential of our orgasm, which is infinite. I have literally
Gotcha.
come for an hour.
Oh my
You
God.
can come till you get hungry, tired, or thirsty. Like, you can keep going. It's amazing what our bodies can do.
Wow.
So that is a slippery slope to all the orgasms you can have, that expanded orgasm practice. And what's awesome is it's spiritual, which is the best.
Hmm. Yeah, you can't, I don't think you can do that if you weren't spiritual or connected in some way.
It
I don't know if it would
teaches
be.
how.
Hmm.
The way we broke it down into 21 sandbox dates, where you're just going to learn this one thing, like how to touch for rapture instead of effect. We have 21 different things you can do as like play dates as lovers, that teach you all the fundamentals of having that spiritual sexual connection.
It's awesome.
Yeah, because it's too much to learn all at once. It takes a little bit of like, oh, breakthrough there. Oh, it's
I see. A little bit of finesse, a little bit of time.
just like meditation.
It's just,
When you have to learn how to sit long. You have to learn, if you're going to do a breath practice, it takes time to learn it. If you're going to have a
yes.
mantra, like where everyone has their rituals around their meditative practices. And there are various components of how that all comes together. Excuse the
Right. No pun
double.
intended.
Yeah.
Right. So, Susan, we are just about done.
Okay.
I know we're like reaching that time.
Yeah.
This has been really enlightening. Enlightening. Yeah,
Enlightening
I
and
get it.
informative.
Yes. I'm thinking, like, no wonder those are like the two main words. Like, this conversation is both of those things.
Thank you.
Yeah. And inspiring. And it's like, oh, I didn't even know this existed.
I know.
I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah.
And it like, again, like that's the little bit of taboo around your spiritual. So
Yeah.
it's like this is separate. Like money too. Money is separate. Sex is separate. Spirituality is pure and sacred. And you can be pure and sacred and connected and still have really great sex
Yeah.
and still make really good money. I mean, that none of these things are mutually exclusive of each other. So, whew.
Yeah.
Anything else before we, and
Oh, sweetie, I think I've given you so
awesome.
much. I don't want to wear you out.
This is a lot. And again, with all the workbooks, like all the downloadables,
Yeah.
which, like Susan said in the email, you'll have a link to all of that kind of stuff. So make sure you click on there to access whatever you want or need to access at this time. So, yes. So, Susan, thank you so much for joining
My
us
pleasure.
again.
You look
Yes.
even more beautiful than when we started, and you looked pretty darn awesome. It's
Hi.
just so nice. See, that vitality comes out just even thinking
Yes.
about it, doesn't it? I
Yes, it
know.
does.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
that's
love the big
really
smile I
awesome.
put on your face.
Right.
Kind of feel like we just had sex.
Right. There's no touchy. And I'm like, wait, I can't feel you. Like,
Mm.
you're so silly. Okay. Okay, so for everybody else, I'm with Susan Bratton, again, CEO and founder of Personal Life Media and intimacy expert. This is Tara Boston Kemper here, founder of Simplify Your Existence. And I will see everybody on the next interview of the Making Spirituality Tangible Summit. Okay, see ya. Bye. Okay.